Let me start by saying I never imagined I'd be telling this story. A year ago, I had a successful career, a loving wife, and what I thought was a solid marriage. But now, I'm sitting here in an empty apartment, trying to make sense of how everything fell apart. Looking back, I can see the signs that led up to it. But at the time, I was just a guy who thought he was supporting his wife's dreams until her dreams didn't include me anymore. I met Alana 6 years ago at a tech conference. She was the kind of woman who drew attention everywhere she went, smart, driven, and beautiful. I was 29, she was 26, and we hit it off instantly. There was this undeniable chemistry between us from the very beginning, like we were meant to cross paths. Within a year, we were married, something that felt right at the time, like the natural next step in our lives. She had this vibrancy about her, and being around her felt like being constantly fueled by an unstoppable energy. Back then, we were both ambitious people. I was a software engineer at a growing startup, climbing the ranks as I worked on exciting projects. Alana worked in marketing and was well known for her creative campaigns that got her company noticed. We often stayed late at work, but it never bothered us. We thrived on the hustle. We had dreams of getting to the top together, a power couple that everyone looked up to. That was part of what made us fall in love, I think. We shared a vision of success, of building something extraordinary. We spent the early years of our marriage focused on our careers, always pushing each other to achieve more. We'd come home late from work, tired but excited to share our wins and brainstorm new ideas. Those conversations kept us close, even though the time we spent together wasn't as much as other couples. But Alana had this way of lighting up a room with her passion for her job. I loved that about her. She wasn't content with mediocrity, and neither was I. Together, we were unstoppable. Or so I thought. A couple of years into our marriage, I noticed a shift in Alana. It was subtle at first. She started talking about how tired she was of the corporate grind, how she felt like she was wasting her potential. She'd come home more frustrated, venting about her boss and the campaigns she had to manage, which she described as soul-crushing. At first, I thought it was just normal job stress, and I'd comfort her, reminding her how talented she was. But the complaints became more frequent, more intense. Alana was a creative spirit, and I knew she wasn't the type to stay boxed into a 9-to-5 for long. She needed freedom, a space where she could truly express herself without being confined by corporate red tape. I understood that. Hell, I admired it. One night, after a particularly rough day at work, she sat me down at the kitchen table. Her eyes were red, as if she'd been crying earlier, and she looked defeated. "I can't do this anymore," she said, her voice trembling. "I feel like I'm wasting my life on meaningless work. I have so much more to offer. I want to start something of my own, something that's mine." She looked at me, almost pleading. I could see how much this was weighing on her. The woman who had always been so confident and full of fire seemed fragile, and that scared me. But I also felt inspired by her resolve. She wanted to launch a wellness brand, something that combined her love for fitness, yoga, and holistic health. I was excited for her. I knew this was something she was passionate about, and I wanted to support her in any way I could. We spent months brainstorming ideas, coming up with business plans, and envisioning our future. Those early days were exhilarating. We stayed up late working on the website, discussing branding, and planning out the first products. It felt like we were on the verge of something big, something life-changing. Alana was convinced that she could make it work, and her enthusiasm was contagious. I loved the idea of building something together, of being partners not just in life but in business. Alana convinced me that I should quit my job and join her full-time. "We'll be a power couple," she said, her eyes shining with excitement. "You're amazing with logistics and tech. I need you to make this work." At first, I hesitated. I loved my job, it was stable, it paid well, and I was climbing the ladder. But the thought of working alongside Alana, building something from the ground up, was tempting. I believed in her dream, and I wanted to be part of it. So, after a lot of thought, I took the plunge. I quit my job and threw myself into Alana's dream. I thought we were building something together. But the truth is, I was building something for her. I was the one handling logistics, setting up the website, dealing with suppliers and managing the day-to-day operations, while Alana focused on growing her social media presence. At first, I didn't mind. After all, she was the face of the brand and I knew her success on social media was crucial to our business. Alana was a natural in front of the camera, and her fitness and wellness content started gaining traction. Her followers on Instagram grew steadily, and soon, she was getting offers from brands to promote their products. But as time went on, things started to change. The wellness brand never really took off the way we had hoped. We struggled to get customers, and every day felt like an uphill battle. Meanwhile, Alana's social media following was growing rapidly. She was posting workout videos, yoga poses, and health tips, but slowly, her content started to shift. The photos got a little more revealing, the poses a little more suggestive. At first, I didn't think much of it. Social media is a crowded space, and I figured she was just trying to stand out. But then the comments started pouring in. Men commenting on her body, leaving heart emojis and suggestive remarks. Alana didn't seem to mind. In fact, she seemed to thrive on it. She was spending more and more time on Instagram, engaging with her followers, posting stories, and doing live streams. The wellness brand we had started to build together was taking a back seat to her growing online persona. I tried to talk to her about it a few times. I told her I was worried that we were losing sight of our original goal, that the business was starting to fall apart while she focused on building her brand. She brushed me off, saying that her personal brand was part of the business, and that the more followers she had, the better it would be for us in the long run. I didn't agree, but I didn't want to argue. I trusted her, and I believed that she knew what she was doing. A few months later, Alana dropped a bombshell on me. She had started an OnlyFans account. At first, I didn't fully understand what that meant. I had heard of OnlyFans, but I thought it was mostly for fitness influencers or people offering exclusive content to their fans. I figured she was just posting more of the same stuff she put on Instagram: workout videos, yoga tutorials, maybe some behind-the-scenes content. But no, that's not what she was doing. She told me that she had been posting explicit content. Photos, videos, things I never thought my wife would share with strangers on the internet. I was stunned. I didn't know what to say. I asked her why she would do something like that, and her answer floored me. "It's just business," she said. "Do you know how much money people are making on OnlyFans? We've been struggling to get the wellness brand off the ground, and this is an easy way to make money. It's not a big deal, not a big deal." My wife, the woman I had loved and supported for years, was selling explicit content online, and she thought it was no big deal. I didn't know what to think. On one hand, I understood that we needed the money. The business wasn't making enough to support us, and we had bills to pay. But on the other hand, I felt betrayed. This wasn't the woman I married. This wasn't the life I had signed up for. I tried to reason with her, to make her see how this was affecting me. I told her I wasn't comfortable with her doing explicit content, that it felt like a betrayal of our marriage. She didn't seem to care. "You're overreacting," she said. "It's just pictures and videos. It's not like I'm cheating on you." But to me, it felt like she was. Every time she posted something new, every time she messaged a subscriber, it felt like a piece of our marriage was being chipped away. I couldn't understand how she could be so casual about it. She was making thousands of dollars a month, more money than we had ever made with the wellness brand, but at what cost? Our relationship was falling apart, and she didn't seem to notice. As her OnlyFans account grew, so did the distance between us. We barely spent any time together anymore. She was always on her phone, messaging subscribers, planning new content, and doing live streams. It was like she had become a completely different person. The woman I had married, the woman I had built a life with, was gone. I tried to hold on. I tried to support her, even though it was tearing me apart inside. I told myself that this was temporary, that once we made enough money, she would stop. But deep down, I knew that wasn't true. Alana was addicted to the attention, to the validation she was getting from strangers online. And the money, it was like a drug. She couldn't get enough of it. One night, after another argument about her OnlyFans account, I reached my breaking point. I told her that I couldn't do this anymore, that I felt like I was losing her, and that our marriage was falling apart. She looked at me, completely unfazed, and said, "If you can't handle it, that's your problem. This is who I am now, and I'm not going to apologize for it." That was it. I packed my bags and left. I moved into a small apartment across town, filed for divorce a few weeks later, and tried to pick up the pieces of my life. I still don't know how everything went so wrong. I gave up my career, my time, my energy, to support a woman who didn't value me in the end. She's now one of the top earners on OnlyFans, living the life she always wanted, while I'm left trying to rebuild mine. It's been 6 months since the divorce, and I'm still trying to figure out what happened. I'm not angry anymore, just sad. Sad that our marriage turned into a business transaction. Sad that she chose fame and money over us. Sad that I didn't see the signs sooner. I've learned a lot from this experience. If I could give one piece of advice to anyone reading this, it's this: don't lose yourself in someone else's dreams. Support your partner, yes, but never at the expense of your own happiness and self-worth. Because when everything falls apart, and you're left standing alone, you need to have something left for yourself. Alana got everything she wanted in the end. I just wish it didn't come at the cost of everything we had.